eventually, as you become more conscious, you realize that esteem has to do with how you control yourself. Your capacity to control and manage the power of your consciousness, your capacity to recognize in the language of the Tao an illusion and not attach yourself to an illusion. Like, someone comes up to you and says, I would never wear that blouse, ever. I keep going. And you stand there, and you think, I've just been so insulted. Or have you? Now the choice is yours, depending on how you decide, I'm not going to lose my power over this. This is where you get that the management of your power, your precious life force, is totally in your hands. That it's you who decides that I'm not going to attach to that. I am not getting one of my anchors over that. Are you kidding me? And you walk the other way. Or you can decide, how could anyone speak to me that way? Why, I'm so important. And that tone of voice, I allow this tone of voice, but never that one. And she used the tone of voice that I banned from my precious ears. Not that tone of voice. And so now I shall disempower myself to prove and gut myself in front of her to prove the point that I do not allow that tone of voice to ever be used in front of me. Because I'm so important that the whole world must never use that tone of voice in front of moi. Or I could never even reveal that I am responding to this. That in fact I've already decided that can't touch me. That can't touch me. That just doesn't. I don't respond. I've already commanded my soul, don't even get up. I mean, I have actually stood in front of people and closed and said to them, I'll be right back. I haven't left at all. But I've said to myself, all right, take a deep breath. All right, we know the gig here. Take a deep breath. 10, shut. And honestly, I haven't even left. They're looking at me, and I said, I'll be right back. But I know what I'm doing. And I think you aren't getting an ounce of my power. This whole scene, this whole illusion is not commanding an ounce of my power. This will be over in a second. And I will refuse to let one precious part of my soul remember this, much less attach to it. That's what we're going to talk about after lunch. This is going to be your new discipline. This is spiritual direction. You need to know you're so powerful now. You matter so much that you can't make choices that cause you to hemorrhage anymore. You also need to understand, you really need to get that this is the new level of health. That as important to you as eating right is your psychic spiritual health. That these matters, these considerations, are as important to your well-being as what you put in your body and what you put in your heart and how you manage your energy field. That it's not that, when I hear people dwell in negativity, like I asked earlier, and everybody gave me negative reasons. Nobody ever gives me positive reasons for my questions. People, you dwell in negativity. Negativity is the reason you don't do the negative. Human beings are so unbelievably frightened and negative. It's no wonder to me. that we have epidemics.
Could it be, though, that the epidemic is actually benevolent? The HIV epidemic.
I love your accent. Where are you from?
Glasgow. Could it be that the HIV epidemic was benevolent? It redressed the power balance between the medical model and patients, and it informed narratives that were much more engaging and balanced. And maybe this new one is the last fight for borders, if you like. That's why it's becoming so reinforced. So looking at the illusion of what's a border, or quarantining people as a metaphor for that. Could that maybe the kind of last knockings of that? Because I think like HIV stigma, which is an area I work in, I think it's like a proxy for shame or a kind of dark glamour for membership of a club. Because the pity party in the north of this planet is technically over. But people are still desperate to hang on to HIV stigma and the drama of it
You
for
know
something.
what? I think that if you remember my apartment? Okay, if we go above the fifth floor, once we're above the fifth floor, we don't have polarity anymore. Polarity, right, wrong, could it be a good thing, bad thing? That whole way of thinking stops.
How about then for the greater good rather than polarity?
Yeah, I mean, we stop. Events just happen. And we get that a way to see that the experiences, all experiences are essentially experiences. And so, like Buddha would say, they're neither up nor down, good or bad, they're just experiences. And every day we respond to them is what makes them positive or negative. Every time someone responds positively to someone with do you understand? And so what's going to happen with the coronavirus is that, and I'll say this right, we're going to take the elements that we're working with today, and the elements of today are that we have a pathological fear of each other. We have a pathological thing about our boundaries. Every nation does. Every nation does. Every nation is still, and I want to compare that to something. The higher dictate, the higher order of God is that we must become a planetary community. Now, the way that has filtered into every one of us is that it has come through the door of health, and it's come through the understanding that we must treat our bodies as a holistic mechanism. So if you understand your body as a micro-earth, you get that you must treat your body as a holistic system in which no nation has sovereign rights anymore. That every nation is like an organ of the body, and that in order for your planetary system to thrive, every nation must be treated as an equal and vital part of the whole. So in a sense, we're getting the message that each of us is a micro-earth that's contributing to the macro-earth.
But the structural systems were created to evidence or support that in the real world or in the external world that we experience, are constructs that are there, I think, that seem to be collapsing in tandem with this.
Right. This is this great transition now. And so the virus is coming at a time that is, it's going to be used as a means to do it, it's like the last great effort to put up boundaries. But the great lesson is there are no boundaries anymore, because the economy is interconnected. The airports are interconnected. In its effort to try, it's an airborne virus. There is nothing anymore because we've already interconnected our wires. So if this is like, it's going to be like the last great hurdle that shows that our world has become so interconnected now that we do or die together.
Could it be like this is the Chinese Empire that was forming? This is in some ways a light to kind of maybe disable the last formation of an empire in that way.
Well, that's a little more ambitious than I had in mind. You know, yes. Disabling an empire is not what I had to do this morning.
Is it not simply that we've actually got to learn love from a God perspective and remove our ego? It's really quite simple, and we've complicated it with the constructs of the world's BS, really. It's that simple. You remove your ego and you learn love from God's perspective, and all those things disappear. But obviously, yes, it's a bit simplistic. But it's in changing that other things will change.
You know, but love has to be practical. Love has practical. We have a lot of problem with love.
Yeah, that's our problem, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if we didn't, therapists wouldn't be out of work.
Exactly.
That's the only reason you go to therapy is because you can't understand love. If it was that simple, we wouldn't have a problem. What the heck's wrong with us? Love is the balm of life, the nectar of life, and yet it's the power that we are so selfish about.
Well, that's the thing. If we look at each other, whoever we are, whatever nations we are, or people where we come from, if you view someone in front of you from a God perspective, how could you judge or be cruel or be controlling or be abusive?
No. Answer that, take the word love out, and put the word power in. Go ahead, answer it now. How can you not empower them?
Well, exactly. But that's
No, answer it.
How can I not empower them?
What's your struggle with empowering another person?
My struggle has been empowering myself.
No, yeah, enough of that. But why don't you? What's your struggle with empowering another person?
If it's easy for me to empower another person, I don't have a problem with that. It's self-love. Mm-hmm. To empower myself.
And do you ever have issues with empowering another person and then being angry that they weren't grateful to you?
No, well, they're all dead now.
Really?
Yeah. They actually are, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, the issue with us, and we're gonna go into this after lunch, are the power choices you make and the power choices I recommend making for your health. The power choices in life that help you and don't help you. And why it's difficult to empower others. Why? Why is it so difficult to empower others? Power is the currency of life. It's the currency of life. That's all you deal in. And at some point, power is love. We call that power love. Everything is power. Power is the ingredient of the human experience. And when it feels like this, we named this version of it, it's like color. We call this color blue, this one's yellow, this one's pink, but it's still all the word color. Some of it is more brilliant in front of our eyes, and some of it's unpleasant. But it's still all color. And we become very selfish when it comes to certain colors. We don't want to share them. We have to learn, we have to get that if they're all interconnected, Why is it we become so selfish when it comes to the powers that are most valuable and most empowering? What is it in us that causes us to not want to empower others? And it is most vital to understand this at a time when you are opening up intuitively and you can sense exactly what the other person needs. So your skills as a healer are up and rising. And you have to get that if you can't heal others, why would you be healed? Do you think heaven's going to pour that same healing force on you when you withhold it from others? You have to understand, heaven watches you. You have to get how life is played. You can't withhold love and have this sense of, I'll never empower you because, and then pray for, I wonder what great reason I was born, though. Sorry, but it's not played like that. Yes. Wait a minute, would you do that again?
What if, like what you're doing now, empowering us? And I always try to empower other person, private life, also with business. But once, I don't know if it's an ego thing, sometimes I need to be empowered back. You know, I'm also human, I'm also vulnerable, I also have my issues. And once I thought, who's empowering me when I'm seriously, and at that moment I was like, am I crazy? Only giving, 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 you get empty. You get empty. And then I'm like, okay, I think empowering someone else is the best thing you can do in someone's life, if it, you know, a prayer, you know. But sometimes I'm so empty. I'm like, who's empowering me? It's only God and God's grace I have. And then I'm so lonely and empty, and I'm like, what can I do? I need a human being who's empowering me. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And
yes, I do.
I
really do, but this is what I would say to that, darling. You know, we have, and I'm sure many people can relate to that.
You give and you give and you give, you're empty. At a certain moment, like, give me one smile, please. I'm dying for one smile, one compliment. Well done, girl. And I'm like, fuck me, I'm lying here. You know, seriously. I mean, I'm not Superman. I always say, I'm not Jesus, I'm human, you know? I try to live my best life. I give.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, here's, honestly, you're not going to like my answer.
Just keep giving, eh?
All right,
just like
you're not going to like my answer, but I have to give you the answer. And that's that one of the tough lessons in life is that giving without attachment is one of the hardest things to do. Giving with true empowerment without. And what you are speaking to me as the classic martyr rescuer archetype. That's how they talk. And it's like I'm always helping. And this is where you need to learn discernment, which is maybe I shouldn't help here. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's not for you to help as much as you think. Maybe you get to say no, and maybe you really need to get that. And maybe that's part of your exhaustion, is that you shouldn't be helping as much as you think.
When I don't want to, I give. I feel like and you once said in a meeting, you said, God is balance. I will always bring you in balance. I will always bring you in balance. And then I pray, God, bring me in balance. And, you know, but I'm also human. Sometimes I need, you know, it's.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know the full circumstance. I don't know, but I also know this, that there are times when you may be able to say no when you're not saying no. There are also ways you can say, how about a thank you? and not wait. That, I'd appreciate, and some people would say, my God, you're right. Maybe you have to wake them up and not wait to be told thank you. I mean, there are times when, like with my nieces, like, I'm not budging till one of you says thank you. And if I have to put that light bulb on, it's going to be me. And I had to do that once, and that was enough. Number 3 is that I also realize that if I choose to give, I may be dealing with people who don't see. And that I too have not said thank you many times to people who have given me a lot. So all 3 of these things are true. And they all could be operating in your life simultaneously. One is, I'm dealing with people that I need to recognize I'm choosing to do this. Nobody's got a gun to my head. And therefore, choice has consequence. And if I can't deal with the consequence, then I can't make this choice. Okay? Okay, and that's what choice and consequence is all about. If a choice you're making is causing you this much pain, then don't make that choice. I'm sorry? No, it's not. It's just, don't make choices that disempower you, or make them in a way where you're okay. Make them in a way where you're okay. Or realize, I'm choosing to do this to someone, and if you are making a choice to someone who doesn't get what you're doing, or that it's costing you so much, then go and seek the kind of support you need. But if you're asking, if someone's come to you for a loan for power, they may not recognize that they have to thank you for the power they're asking for because they don't have enough. They can't empower you back if they need that from you to keep going. Do you get that? They may think you're the one who's empowered. If they may think, a car may think, why would I go to a gas station to give it gas if that's why I've gone there to fill my tank? You're the friggin' gas station. Shut down and become a Target. I mean, really. You know what I mean? Out of business. All right. You know what I want you to do? Yeah, way in the corner? Yeah, okay.
Hi, Caroline. It's lovely to meet you. I think it's amazing.
Are you talking to me in the corner?
Yes, it's
I'm
me.
looking, I'm sorry, but all right. I'm looking at you, and I'm hearing a voice from other places.
Hi, Caroline. I think it's amazing you've focused.
All right, I'll be right back. See if you can get a microphone or whatever. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, darling.
Hi, Caroline. I think it's amazing you've focused on God and the presence of God and the focused on healing, because I was diagnosed with 17 health conditions, but I refused to take any medication, and I'm trusting my source from the Almighty that comes through me, and there's times whereby people actually need healing, and they'll come to me and I'll give them, I'll massage them, and it's not me. I don't consider it ever as me, so I really appreciate what you're saying right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay, there you are. Okay, talk to me. Two things. I'm going to repeat this so it's on mic. You're going to say two. Oh, no, we got a mic up to you. Well done. The flying angels.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just like to highlight 2 things from my own personal journey so far, which is, number 1, allowing myself to receive.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we get so stuck in sort of giving that we don't realise that we have to sometimes reflect and go, actually, how can I allow myself to receive as well? That's one. Number 2, I think again, the help and the empowerment comes in so many ways, but I think sometimes we get so stuck in our conceptual ways as to how it should look like that sometimes it's before our very own eyes and we
Right.
don't even see it.
Right.
So for me personally, like, it's always there. It's just a case of us actually being open to receive and to give ourselves the ability to witness and accept it for what it is.
I can't thank you enough for that, because I said earlier that I wouldn't talk about, now I talk about things in a way that I would never have before, and one of them is my experience with Teresa of Avila. And that now it's been years, but I wrote a book called Entering the Castle, and I did that as a result of hearing a whisper in my ear. When I was I was about to teach a class not unlike this, and I heard, come with me, daughter, And I knew it was Teresa of Avila, and I was going to teach her work. I was just about to teach her work. And the funny thing about that is I knew it was her, and I was not an expert on her work. I hardly knew it, but in that instant, her work just downloaded into me as if I'd been a scholar on her work all my life. One of the teachings of Teresa, I taught her all weekend. I couldn't believe what was coming out of my mouth. I was observing myself and taking notes. It was amazing. Not kidding. But I ended up writing Entering the Castle. But one of the things Teresa always spoke about was looking for God in the smallest details, not the largest. And getting to that place where you can look at God in the smallest details requires that you really get what humbleness is. And one of the causes of suffering, and I would list that as the greatest cause of suffering for us, this modern group, modernity, the contemporary person, is the fear of being humiliated. I think it's greater than the fear of being alone, and that the reason people don't forgive, on top, one of the top reasons someone doesn't forgive another human being is that that's the person who humiliated them. And humiliation is just the most gut-wrenching thing. And it transfers in some way to the fear that faith in God, finally recognizing faith, which means surrender. All right, I finally trust you. Faith means trust. Trust means surrender. That I trust you. What do you want me to do? For what reason did you give me? Take me down deep and show me the reason you gave me this life. That going down deep and saying, I will relinquish the hold I have on the life I think I want, no matter how bad it is, no matter how it's not working. And I'll release it and let you reshuffle the deck. I'll go through that reshuffling, which is hell, where you take away what's not working, and then give me the clues so I can figure out what is, and I'll let you, whatever it is, I'll go through that and find the small clues, the small details that might be right in front of me, but I won't recognize them because I'll still look for what I want. I'll still go backwards. I'll still look for the title I think I have to have because that's what makes me feel safe, and it looks titleless. I can't find a title, and I can't find the thing that I'm convinced, whereas the soul, this is what people don't get. Your soul is a co-creative force, and the ego is a needy, greedy one. The ego wants to be given something already made. And the soul is something that is given an inspiration to work with. A thought, a feather that drops in. Whereas the ego says, give me something and pay me as if it's been created by someone else, and it's already done, so I want the risk to be taken by someone else or to be shared, or somehow I want to be protected from consequences. Whereas when you go through this transition and you are relying upon God, the choice, and you're relying upon the soul, it is surrender to the absurdity of, what do you want me to do here? And you may get the guidance of someone walking down the, something walking in. It may happen that the tire falls off your car. You have no idea how heaven works with you. There's nothing logical, rational, reasonable about the way heaven works, but that's also the nature of miracles. They're not logical, they're not reasonable, they're not rational. And now you're in miracle territory. So I'm going to let you go for lunch, and we'll talk about miracles and choices like that, and get here at 25 after 2. That's a strange time. Have a good lunch.